Honestly, having just finished 3.0 Part 2, I think Wuthering Waves is in probably the best state it has been. For context, maybe you know this, maybe you don't, but I've been playing Wuthering Waves since the beta, since CBT2. I have really loved this game from basically the beginning of its inception, right? I think it's a great live service game. I think it's a great like popcorn story. I don't think it's necessarily deep, but I do think it has emotional beats that are really lovely. I think it's a great experience, especially for people that like have time and they want to just explore something new and don't necessarily want to engage in the gacha mechanics, which, you know, for better or for worse, gacha is what it is. It's not going to go anywhere. It's a nice pipe dream to think that gacha doesn't need to be in these games anymore. But the reality is that, well, it makes millions upon millions upon millions of dollars, and people want to spend their adult money in the ways that they want to. It's actually funny. Someone once got into an argument with me saying that children play gacha games. I have actual like factual data that we should put up on the screen of any live stream that I ever do. There are no children in my live streams. So while I think gacha is evil and terrible and it is a shitty system, I don't think it's influencing children nearly as much as people want to say, even though gambling sucks and we shouldn't have it in our video games. Anyway, separate video, separate discussion. I firmly feel, having been through all of Wuthering Waves' sort of like journey and playing each patch, that Wuthering Waves is still such a very special game. And I think that you're probably not watching this if you're a brand new player, but if you are, you should stop here and go play it. I really do think that it's a meaningful experience that is fun, and if you're looking to try something new, you should play this. If you are not new and you've been around for a long time, you know as well as I do that it's had its ups and downs. It's had its filler patches, it's had its long stories, it's had its short stories, it's had its pacing issues, it's had its character issues, and I think we've reached a point in the Wuthering Waves sort of life cycle now, starting with 3.0. Can't believe it. I mean, there was talk at 1.0 when it wouldn't even see 3.0. It would be the end of service, the EOS, the dreaded EOS for a live service gacha game, with all its fair share of tribalism and whatnot. We've really arrived at a point where I think Kuro Games is finding their footing. I think there is a confidence in the way that they are telling story. I think that they really have a clear vision on how they want to be telling this story. And what happens now is that people are starting to decide whether or not they like that or not. And so you see frustration, you hear frustration, you may witness frustration. If you're a terminally online person who connects with these communities, you will start to see that there is a moment now where we are starting to experience divisiveness, where people are choosing to either agree with the story beats and the story steps, or deciding to take their leave. And I think that's okay. Because for me, 3.0 is absolutely the right direction for this gameplay experience. Now, I am absolutely a Kuro Games fan. I mean, I really love what they do from Punishing Gray Raven to now. I definitely think that overall, this is a really, really smooth move for the storytelling. I almost feel like playing every patch of Wuthering Waves is actually kind of a disservice, because Kuro's constantly iterating, which I think is great. They're constantly changing the formula. They're constantly changing the structures. And I think sometimes being a player that plays patch by patch by patch, we actually end up getting the short end of the stick, because while we're watching the evolution, I think it's easier to scrutinize because we can't really see the forest from the trees. Whereas like if someone is coming into this game, if you're looking to watch someone play Wuthering Waves, I actually think it's more worth your time as a viewer to watch someone who's experiencing it from the beginning, or from the, like, let's say the Renacida arc. Better to watch them experience that from start to finish versus watching a content creator that's doing patch by patch, because the criticism and the frustration I think is going to be different for a person who's experiencing it through a through line as an entire meal versus the piecemeal that we tend to get as we're, you know, in each individual plate, for better or for worse. And I think with 3.0, I mean, the exploration is fascinating. I didn't think I was going to like the bike nearly as much as I do, but honestly, the bike is terrific. The fact that here we have a gacha game that is prioritizing you to be able to play the game and experience the game and get rewards in the game in the form of the bike livery, where you can go and collect interact and by exploring and doing things in the game, actually level up the bike and get power-ups for the bike. This is a massive change that is so wonderfully needed. We have this in MMOs, and if you really think about it in this day and age, I really firmly believe that gacha games are just MMO lights. The processes and the systems in play are not that dissimilar, other than the monetization model, which, fun fact, plenty of MMOs have FOMO and gacha elements. Looking at you, Elder Scrolls Online, and even my beloved Guild Wars 2 has FOMO elements in the way of black lion keys. So let's not act like, even though those are small portions of those games and totally optional, let's not act like those games are completely innocent to monetization models. So anyway, I think it's amazing that the bike is so well fleshed out. The radio is terrific. The collab with Sonic and Persona, I mean, like, holy hell. I mean, like, that's awesome. And as a person who's been here from 1.0, the fact that in the year of our Lord 2026, we're getting Sonic memorabilia, Persona memorabilia, music from those games, and knowing that we still have a collab with CD Projekt Red and Cyberpunk Edgerunners is massive to me, like unfathomable to that this is like actually happening. And as a huge fan of the game, I just can't help but be this excited. I really am. I'm like, that's so cool. This is the first part of this game that I've actually completed, and they've structured it in a way that is very easy to do, to completely explore all of the regions through doing stuff in them. Oh, anywhere I want? What? It's gotten a nice checklist format. Some people like that, some people don't. I happen to love a checklist because it's like, oh, I did that, oop, I did that, oop, I did that. So I 100%ed every region except for one, and that region's at like 96%. I couldn't be happier. This is such an interesting world to explore, and I can't wait to see the additions that they have. Also, really, like, the removal of story, like character-specific story quests, which is kind of a bold move, to be honest. The hangout, if you will. Those are easily skippable if you can't be bothered to do them. And frankly, there are several story quests that for specific characters that I still haven't done. Several of them I've actually completely skipped the story parts just to get the credits. I have to say, the integration of this from what, 2.6-ish has been interesting. And I do think that there were some hiccups, especially in 2.6, which I really did not like. 2.6 for me, between Augusta and Yuno, was not great. And in 2.7, it kind of felt shoehorned in with all that Galbrena stuff. They've expanded on that. And honestly, frankly, I think the Linné arc and I think the Mornier arc, I think this is excellent. I thought 3.0 part 1 was in some ways a bit stronger than 3.0 part 2, but I want to look at this as a complete package. I think as a complete package, 3.0 as a patch is very, very, very compelling. I'm extremely intrigued for what's going to happen in the rest of this game, especially with this 3.0 arc. I think we're able to toss in character interactions and flesh out characters that, yes, are on the banner, absolutely, in really interesting ways. They have introduced characters that we will be having in future banners, like Luke, and, we've obviously teased Ameth. But I do think that overall, like, this is a very clear shift in the storytelling for Wuthering Waves that I think works. I think it works well. There are people that are going to be frustrated by this when they are playing this game for, 3-point patches at this point and experiencing each individual character banner and character story that will be frustrated by this format. It is not, to me, waifu of the week. Now, we do get a tiny spotlight on these individual characters. We had it with Linné and we had it with Mornier. Now, that is a choice. That is not even necessarily the best way to create the story. But I do see the vision, and I will go along with that because I actually think it's being handled really well. 3.0 Part 2, the entire first half of it was pretty slow in my book. Frankly, while it was about Mornier, it was also about the lore of the place, connecting us to the Extra Strider, talking about consciousness, talking about individual things like the soul skins, all their factors in there, because I have ADHD and I can't remember every detail, so forgive me. All that to say, I'm kind of here for it. Is it the best way to tell a story? I don't know. That's not my job. My job is to consume it, experience it, think about it, process it, and vomit it out to you in this video. So overall, I'm pretty pleased. I really do. I think it's great. I thought Linné was a really compelling character. I thought Mornier was phenomenally compelling. Actually, probably one of my favorite characters since Camellia, since Frolova, yeah. I mean, so not that many patches ago, but I think Mornier was a very rich 3-dimensional character, and the interactions with Rover felt appropriate, reasonable, friendly, amicable, connected. My only complaint, and one of the things that I brought up when I was streaming 3.0 Part 2, is the fact that I want us to know what the hell is going on with Rover. At least, at a very least, like, you know, there's the whole thing that happens with the guy, you know, at the, I can't remember any of the names, I just played it. You know, he asks our permission to do something. And I know that this came up in 1.0 with Jouet and stuff, and our connection as the Arbiter and so on and so forth. But what does the Arbiter even mean? Like, I know what the word means, but like, I want to know, like, why this guy cares. Why does he need our permission? So my thing is like, let's start to uncover who Rover really is. And I do think, based on what I just saw at the end of 3.0 Part 2, that we're going to start to uncover some of that. Literally, Kuro, when talking to Mornia at the end of the quest, it was like they were telling me to just relax and just like give him a second to cook. So I'll give you a second to cook. I think as viewers and as players, I think it would be healthy for us from a story perspective to kind of understand what's going on. It can still be compelling to know what a character doesn't know. That's like a classic literary device. We should be using it at least a little bit. And I feel like right now it's really hard to invest because we don't necessarily know the details of what's going on with our character. So even though Rover is like interesting enough, I don't feel like Rover is all that much compelling compared to the characters around them. So I think that that's a thing that I'm hoping will be addressed soon, but it's such a minor complaint. But like, also, like, if you're watching this, you probably either know who I am, and if you don't, my name's Marco. I love talking about video game music from an emotional perspective. I also love playing video games. I'm a glass half full kind of guy. I don't find that much to complain about generally. I don't. So, you know, this isn't going to be like a super critical review. So if that's what you're looking for, I can't reinforce that for you. But I do think that there are things that can be improved on, and that's certainly one of them. Music was great. I mean, at this point, like, I don't even know what to say anymore, because musically, like, there are so many wonderful pieces of music in this game that, like, any of the complaints I ever had about 1.0 when I called the music disappointing are over. I don't even know what to say. It's compelling. It's interesting. The EDM stuff with the boss fights is phenomenal. I don't think it's as good as like Punishing Gray Ravens stuff. And I think largely because of the motivic and melodic drive in the PGR tracks. Not that we really need to compare it to anything else, but I think like on its own, they're really good. The Hybatia fight, awesome. The reactor fight, I forget the name of the particular boss for Mornier's mats. Wonderful. I mean, like, great stuff. The vocals in the back half, really unique, really interesting. I thought that the song that played near the end of the part 2 of the patch worked extremely well. At this point, you know, we're kind of used to hearing that format where there's that big moment in every patch and then the music plays.
Have I reached you this time, Mentor?
Data analysis complete. Helios is operational again.
I think it's great. It's a little played out for my taste, but it doesn't mean that it's bad. I think it's really polished. It's great. Do I think that the music is like the greatest thing ever? No, I think it's good. I think it's great. I think it's fun. I think it really works. Will I listen to it on its own? Not really, but I do enjoy listening to it on the radio while I'm like riding my bike. I think that's awesome. And having that feature again, I mean, the bike is the star of the show so far. So, I mean, like, I'm really excited to see where we go. And the fact that like this complete package is always so good, I think just really speaks to the effort and desire to like really continue to put forth right and just and good effort towards making this game as good as it can possibly be. In that case, I think they're succeeding. The reality is we're at a point in Wuthering Waves life cycle where some people are going to really agree with me and some people are really not. And that's okay. I think ultimately, like, I'm having a great time, and it's a game that I have enjoyed for almost 200 hours at this point, like 150 plus hours. I still keep investing. I still keep putting my money where my mouth is. I still keep supporting the game. I just like what they're doing. I thought we peaked with Renacida with 2.0. Turns out we hadn't seen nothing yet. And that's also exciting because it's like, well, where the hell do you go from here? What's going to happen with Ameth? We've obviously already seen the gameplay thanks to, you know, Jeff Keighley and the leaks. And we've already seen that they're willing to continue to push the envelope. So frankly, I think it's a good time to be a WUWA player. And there's lots of other gacha games that are coming out in the year 2026, and WUWA has cemented itself as a really good place to be frankly. I do think that there are some issues. I do think that there are certainly some community issues with lots of strong opinions. But overall, 3.0 Part 1 and Part 2 as a complete package to me, a solid 9 out of 10. But I'm a glass half full kind of guy, so I'd love to know what you think. Thanks a ton, and I'll see you later.